Scrooge, Evan.
While we're on that subject, heavy armor is meant for protecting yourself, tanking. Medium armor in this game is, by
Chest
common
armor.
sense,
Oh, never mind. You guys won't be able to see it.
it's medium armor is for stamina-based characters. If you're a bow user, if you're
Dual wielder.
if you like using your bow damage abilities or your weapon abilities for DPS. Light armor, if you're DPSing, is for casters and healing. And when you're leveling, you can mix and match it any way you want to. If you like PvPing, you can mix and match it. But in PvE in-game, for hard dungeons and trials, you're going to want to be dedicated.
Torrance says even if you use all class skills and pure magicka enchant on the shield.
You're not gonna. You won't get as much damage out of the sword and shield as you would of a two-hander or dual wield, man.
I can't see you guys.
You can try to DPS. Can you DPS as sword and board? Yes, you can. Are you going to be as efficient as a guy who dual wields or a guy that uses a two-hander and uses appropriate enchants and gear and things like that? The gear is a really big driver of your damage. So I mean, if you want to use sword and board medium, okay, yeah, you're going to do some damage. But that two-hander is going to be cranking out larger per hit base. Dual wield, you're going to be hitting faster. So you can't compare against those two. Spells, again, the sword and board, it's not spell friendly. It's all stamina based stuff. So I mean, your magicka isn't really helping that much at all. That's one reason why I don't gear a lot in attribute points for magicka. It's just there to help with my Dragon Knight abilities. Most of my stuff is stamina based because I am sword and shield to help with blocking and interrupting, things like that. So regardless of any angle we try to attack it from, are you going to be as efficient as that guy that plays a DPS? No. And that's where the problem's going to come in.
And just to reiterate, can you level with it? Of course. There are plenty of very viable builds out there. People that come up with really cool AoE builds and stuff like that, sword and board, all kinds of cool stuff you can do. But once you hit in-game, if you want to do dungeons, if you want to do trials with people, and when you get to that point, it's about dedication to a purpose. If you're going to be DPS, you got to be 100% DPS. And when you say, I want to be DPS with a sword and board, there's another guy standing beside you who can do the same thing as you with with a destruction staff or with a two-handed weapon, and he's going to do more damage than you. So which one do we take to the dungeon?
All right, he's talking about PvP. I only asked because I see a lot of PvPers use sword and board and use exclusively class DPS skills. I mean, you could do that.
Yeah, easily.
It's good for those gap closers with charge. A lot of people use that. And the spell reflect, really, really great for PvP. Because what you're doing is you are reflecting these spells that these DPS classes use. You're reflecting them right back in their face, and you can do some increased damage with it. So, I mean, in that aspect, yeah, absolutely you could do that. Now, is it the best way to do it? It's going to depend a lot on your playstyle. That's a big
PvP comes a lot down to skill, too.
Yep.
You gotta block.
PvP is not about DPS. PvP is about performing your role, or it's whatever you want it to be.
Yeah, PvP is more forgiving to builds, but it is unforgiving when it comes to skill. Somebody that has raw skill in PvP and really knows what to be watching for when these classes start using abilities on them and responding appropriately in combat with spell reflex or even putting debuffs on people, things like that. That's where the big difference comes in. Knowing your class, knowing what to use, when to use it, that's going to counter anything more than anything else, any specific build.
I mean, PvP, the rules are cast aside because it's knowing how to do what it is you're trying to do. In PvP, I can throw on a bow and some heavy armor and use slow abilities and for my class and just rate and be really good at what I do. I can't take that same build into trials or in-game dungeons and expect that to work. I can use my PvE spec in trials, and I do really good damage. If I go into PvP, I'm nowhere near as survivable or as playable as a solo player, as somebody like what you're doing right now, sword and board, stuff like that. That's really cool stuff. I have to play my character in PvP in a large group to be effective at what I do. So it's all about understanding how to play your tune and do what you're trying to do.
On a side note, does anybody have a 30
Oops.
tune they want to run through the 30 dungeons with?
I used 2, but I can't tell.
Sorry.
Nope.
I only have a level 9.
You need to crack the whip on that husband of yours.
Torsten just says, good stuff, guys. That's what I love about this stream. Very constructive and helpful advice.
I'm getting AoE down.
Oh, is there no other mobs there?
Doesn't look like it. I thought I might be glitching out there for a second, but no, I think he just hates spiders.
Yeah, so did I.
Andaki, are you your Templar, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh
You
yeah,
don't-
hold on.
What's up?
Those just spiders or those dangerous spiders?
Those are regular spiders.
Fuck.
You don't have you have solar disturbance, do you?
Yeah. Right now I'm not using it though.
Okay.
I can put it on if you want.
It's up to you if you want to use it or not, man. I mean, it's just that soul crush ability you just use, the laser beam ability, is more for PvP, man. Lazy beams.
Yeah, I'll put it on.
By the way, I can't crack the whip on my husband because my husband won't bow.
So Dylan, she already broke his back.
Time down. Wait,
But
are we
too,
still talking about
anybody
playing?
says they can't solo the veteran content on Nightblade is doing something wrong. I mean, you can sneak past half the ads.
No shit. I sneak past half the ads.
Got
Pimp
a
smack.
comment here from Gunau from the stream, pretty new. He says, God, this makes me want to start playing ESO again. I still haven't recovered from the burnout, though. I would about guarantee you probably rushed. It's a totally
More
different game
likely.
whenever you go slow, man.
I had a burnout for
Adora.
about 3 months. Now I'm back. Loving it.
Stone Mad. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, why in God's name would you want to burn through content so quickly?
Some people
It's-
want to get to that end content.
It is a mentality that came with a lot of the previous MMOs of race to the finish, world first, I completed it first, I'm the best because I completed it first, top mentality, and
There's a
it's
boss
that's
back
definitely
here.
yeah. There's another one over in the corner too.
The only thing it really means is you know how to abuse mechanics, find loopholes, or you can afford more red
Lindaki,
bull
this
and
way.
cocaine than anybody else.
I know. I
Kill
got
the
a
ads.
quest item here.
Oh, okay.
Stone
It
Mad.
still boggles my mind.
Stone Mad wants to know: is there 2v2 or still just Zerg Fest? There's Zergs, of course. They're not as bad as like what Guild Wars 2 Zergs are. You can absolutely go out into Cyrodiil and just, wait for people to run along, going to keeps and do small scale PvP. It's absolutely viable to do that. There is not any sort of arena system in the game, if that's what you're looking for. A lot of people has begged for that, and
Who's on me?
I expect that to come at some point. When, I don't know, but it's definitely got to be done correct if they bring that into the game.
Here's the thing about Zergs. Zergfest, yeah, it's hard to get away from that. If the AD roll out 80 to 100 people on us, it's hard to stop that. But so much of the in-game PvP in this game, it's not about the Zerg. It's not about the battle. It's about winning the war. There's a lot of great.
Go ahead and do the quest.
Shit, definitely what's the word?
Strategy.
In the PvP.
Yep.
We lose battles and still win the war. When it comes to Zergs, you can also stop a Zerg. We had a 20-man group
Kill lads
one
down the
night.
frontal.
We had a 20-man group one night that sat right outside of a keep while AD sent 80 people at us 5 different times. And every time we stood our ground, we stayed together, we used good strategy, and we would hit them so hard they would scatter like a bunch of bitches every fucking time. It's about knowing how to play. It's about strategy. Uh, and that's something a lot of your solo PvP warriors will never get. They'll never get it because it's all about me being me. I'm going to run off in the middle. I'm going to get my ass kicked by 10 guys over here. You
Kill
gotta
these
stay
ads, guys.
together. Strategy is everything. And while no game will ever get away from the Zerg Fest because manpower is everything, you can beat manpower if you have enough people who play the game well, stick together, follow orders.
No, you're exactly right, and that's something else that a lot of people do. I mean, they think, oh, if I just bring numbers, I can overcome anything. Uh, like Kerr said, we fought off a huge amount of AD for hours at one keep, just defending, while the rest of the EP was offensively taking over stuff. We defended our Emperor and kept that keep over just AD pushing against us because we were very structured, worked together as a group instead of just a bunch of rambling retards running around trying to zerg everything. And that's really where the big difference comes in PvP is your groups that are very structured. You've got a leader. It's very apparent that there is somebody telling these groups where to go. It's like when the leader says you turn left, the entire group goes left. They all charge in and work as a unit. And then whenever they back up, they're backing up because of strategy, not just to run. And
Here's a good example. I definitely want to tell you the exact same thing. It doesn't matter what PvP game you play. If there's large-scale combat, you've seen this. You got a group of 20, 30 people. You're handling a fight. You're winning. And when they start to scatter, 3 or 4 or 5 of your guys, there's always those guys. They're chasing them. I got to go get that one guy who ran off because I want the easy kill. That guy ends up running into some crazy shit. He gets killed. That guy gets killed. Now you got 15 people. You're standing there with your dick waving in the goddamn breeze. We didn't allow that. Get your ass back here. Stay as a group. Don't chase off kills. It's not about one kill. It's about the big fight. Staying together, staying alive. Little things like that are the difference between, oh, we always get zerged. We can't win because we're... Those are little things that get you killed.
Absolutely, Gallon. He says PvP's totally fucked up on the EU Mega server. Too much lag because they still host EU servers in the US. Well, it's also something else. There is a pretty significant memory leak going on that came with something that they done. ZeniMax has addressed it and they're working on it. But just about everybody's seeing very low frames per second in PvP right now. And it looks like it's even starting to affect areas outside of PvP too. But Jessica Folsom's already said that they are aware of it. They are working on it. I think Monday they're supposed to be doing something about it as well. Trying to get it fixed. They've identified a set of issues that is causing this lag. And they just have to fix it. And, they've been very apologetic about the problems. And stuff like this is going to happen as time goes forward. I mean, ZeniMax has got a totally different game on their hands. The engine is just very unique, so it's just learning
through a bunch
what.
Of new problems. You get new problems when you're not copy and paste an old system.
It's just learning, when they change stuff, what it's affecting, and knowing, okay, here's where this problem come from, and they get educated about that stuff and go as they continue to develop the game. I mean, there's so much content. There's so much content that is in this game, and how they have made everything tied together. I could just imagine the way the coding looks on this.
Well, a lot of people think, well, they shouldn't be making mistakes like this. I mean, MMOs for years, but it is a new system. If they had copy and pasted the WoW system, they would know exactly what caused what bugs and what did what. I mean, that's why WoW is what they are after 10 years. You don't have that many bugs anymore because they got their code down. You got a new game. You got new systems. So they have to find all the new bugs and imbalances. I mean, they made the game the
Watch
way
it,
it was.
watch
They
it.
had no idea somebody was
Behind
going to
you.
put on this set of
Oh,
gear
shit.
and get a Dunmere
Stack up.
Dragon Knight and
God,
stick
buddy.
a
We need some
back
AoEs,
on top of
guys.
it and have ultimate regain. They didn't see that happening, so now they had to go back and fix it. You know.
They're running back.
Stack.
These ain't.
To go back to Torreson's earlier question about 2v2 PvP, if you wanted to do that, I would suggest going to one of the questing hubs in Serial, and you could get some real small scale PvP there. I've been doing that a lot.
Just got a new donation from Stone Mad. I'm going to read off what you put in that donation, man. Just 1 second. Let me get over this dungeon. That donation will get added to the Give Back Giveaway Bank, and that drives how many subscription game time cards I give away. So I think it was a $2 donation that came in, so it'll put us at $419.33.
Whoa.
Every $50 accumulated means I will give away one 60-day ESO game time sub card July the 19th. Which is not next Saturday, but Saturday after that. I'm giving away at least 8 Game Time subscription cards. I got to go buy 3 more to complete the 8, and that's driven all because of the
Fucking hate these
donations
guys.
do come through.
Just avoid
Hey, Jeff, I
stomps.
want to bring something up, and I want an opinion from people right here. I realize, you have a lot of people wanting arenas, 2v2, 3v3, 5v5. Don't get me wrong, I'm not knocking it. There is fun in that. But it seems to me that it's a given that unless you implement it very carefully and put in some mechanics to encourage the overall PvP world, it could easily distract from that. If you got 30% of your gamers went over to do the arenas, that's 30% less players you have in your campaigns. And when you compare one to the other, the only way I can really compare it is to say that, I don't like these wars because I have to worry about strategy and I don't have combat at my beck and call. So I would rather have arenas so that I don't have to worry about looking for a constructive fight. To me, it's a lack of attention span. I don't want to put the work into the war. Just let me queue up for combat and fight. Let me queue up for combat and fight. Let me queue up for combat and fight. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, and it is a very, very valid thing, and that's what they have to be very careful with whenever they apply the arena. I know we talked about this in theorized ways to implement it, like for whoever controls the Imperial City, like the keeps around the Imperial City, has an emperor and stuff like that, allowing that group to have access to the arena and duel one another or whatever. And that would just kind of make it like another thing of, hey, if you want to go do the arena, you're going to have less people on the battlefield, and if you lose your emperor, then you're going to lose your arena, the abilities to do stuff like that. So
I just
got a
thought of
phone
something
call here I
else,
got to
too.
take.
Something
Alright.
else, but to go along with that, what Defo said about having to be able to get into the arenas would have to have emperorship. You want to keep emperorship, you have to do certain parts of the arena if I can make the emperorship stay longer or something like that. Like the arena, basically the whole thing we're trying to say is to tie the arena. If you're going to put arena, make sure it ties in with. It doesn't take away from the actual large open world battlefield. That's the biggest thing we don't want to see in this game.